All right, so today we're going to read pages 32 to 37, and we're going to answer some questions on slide 11, the right-hand side. So there's going to be a little multiple choice here regarding some vocabulary, but then also it says, do you think George should listen to Lennie on page 32? Also, we're going to learn a little bit more about Carlson and Slim, and based on some text evidence, what does the relationship between those two show? And then on page 36, what is Lennie hoping to get? Now, just to do a quick little recap, if we go back to page 30, George was telling Lennie to go down and hide by the brush by the river, that place that they came in on chapter 1 before they went to the ranch. And he says, hide down by the river, down by the brush by the river if you get in trouble. If I get in trouble. Now, he was saying this about Curly because he was afraid that Curly was going to cause problems for Lennie, and Lennie, just being a big guy, not knowing his own strength, might get in trouble with Curly. But as we moved into page 31, we got a glance at Curly's wife, and George started to become a little bit of a disciplinarian when Lennie was really looking at Curly's wife, saying how purty she was. He kind of grabs George by the ear and he's like, listen, don't even look at her. You just leave her alone. So that was the advice that George gave Lennie. And that's where we're going to take it off. Well, you keep away from her, 'cause she's a rat trap if I ever seen one. You let Curly take the rap, let he himself in for it. Lennie cried out suddenly, I don't like this place, George. This ain't no good place. I want to get out of here. So this is kind of interesting because Lennie is basically saying here, I don't like it. I want to get out of here. If I was going to take some notes on this one, because that's one of our questions, you would say something like, I agree or don't agree that, uh, oh, sorry, George should, or, oops, hold on, listen to Lennie because. So that's like your sentence starter for your slide. Me personally, I would actually say that based on what happened in Weed, and now we're seeing like a little foreshadow or a little similar situation with a new girl at a new ranch, maybe he should listen to George. But then George says, we got to keep it till we get a steak. We can't help it, Lennie. We'll just get out as soon as we can. I don't like it no better than you do. So, on the other hand, George is like, we need the money. For 2 bits, I'd shove out of here. If we can just get a few dollars and poke and shove off and go up the American rivers and pan gold, we can maybe make a couple dollars a day there. We might even hit a pocket. Lennie leaned eagerly toward him. Let's go, George. Let's get out of here. It's mean here. We gotta stay, George said shortly. Shut up now. The guys will be coming in. From the washroom nearby came the sound of running water and rattling basins. George studied the cards. Maybe we ought to wash up, he said. But we ain't done nothing to get dirty. So when it says a man stood in the doorway, this is Slim now, okay? So you're trying to get a picture in your head of what Slim looks like. He held a crushed Stetson hat under his arm while he combed his long, black, damp hair straight back. Like the others, he wore blue jeans and a short denim jacket. He had finished combing his hair, he moved into the room, and he moved with a majesty only achieved by royalty and a master craftsman. So if I was thinking about this, I would actually make a note about that. He moved with majesty, so the thing that kind of, and royalty. So basically, if I was going to say something like this, I would say something like, Slim was like a king among regular men. I would say something like that, okay? Majesty, royalty. He was a jerkline skinner, the prince of the ranch, capable of driving 10, 16, even 20 mules with a single line to the leader. He was capable of killing a fly on a wheeler's butt in a bullwhip without even touching the mule. There was a gravity in his manner and a quiet so profound that all talk stopped when he spoke. I think that's interesting that it was so profound that everybody basically stopped when he spoke. Oops, there we go. I would probably take some notes about that. And then again, right here, sorry, my line is not straight for all you people who like straight lines. His authority was so great that his word was taken on any subject. I think that is also another great thing to think about. His word was taken on any subject. Basically, what this means is that people trusted him. All right, people trusted him. His hatchet face was ageless. So I think what that means when they're saying like his hatchet face was ageless, like he was a good looking guy, you know? Actually maybe I'll put that in my notes too. That Slim's a good looking guy. Oops. Let's move this up here. Slim is a good looking guy. You can say man, whatever you want. Okay? His ear more than was said of him, and his slow speech had overtones not thought, but an understanding beyond thought. His hands, large and lean, were as delicate in their actions as those of a temple dancer. He smoothed out his crushed hat, creased it in the middle, and put it on. He looked kindly at a two in the bunkhouse. It's brighter than a something outside, he said gently. Can't hardly see nothing in here. You the new guys? Just come, said George. Gonna buck barley? It's what the boss says. Slim sat down on a box across the table from George. He studied the solitaire hand that was upside down to him. Hope you get on my team, he said. His voice was barely gentle. I got a pair of punks on my team, and they don't know a barley bag from a blue ball. You guys ever bucked any barley? Hell yeah, said George. I ain't nothing to scream about, but that big bastard there can put up more grain alone than most pears can. Lennie, who had been following the conversation back and forth with his eyes, smiled complacently at the compliment. Sim, Slim looked approvingly at George for having given the compliment. So, this is kind of interesting to note that, when people give someone a compliment, he listens, right? So, Slim is looking approvingly at George. So, this is off to a good relationship. You guys travel around together? His tone was friendly. It invited confidence without demanding. So, again, another thing that we're learning of Slim is that he's friendly. Sure, said George. We kind of look after each other. He indicated Lennie with his thumb. He ain't bright. Hell of a good worker, though. Hell of a nice fellow. But he ain't bright. I've known him a long time. Slim looked through George and beyond him. Ain't many guys travel round together, he mused. I don't know why. Maybe everybody in the whole damn world is scared of each other. It's a lot nicer to go around with a guy you know, said George. Now here is the next person coming in right here. Maybe I'll just put in a little text box there actually. Right here is the next person is Carlson. A powerful big stomach man came into the bunkhouse. So one way that they are describing him is powerful. His head still dripped water from scrubbing and dousing. "Hi, Slim," he said. Then he stopped and stared at George and Lennie. "These guys just come," said Slim by way of introduction. "Glad to meet ya," the big man said. "My name's Carlson." "I'm George Milton. This here's Lennie Small." "Glad to meet you," Carlson said again. "He ain't very small." He chuckled softly at his own joke. "Ain't small at all," he repeated. "Meant to ask you, Slim, how's your bitch? I see she wasn't under your wagon this morning." Now remember, that swear word actually means a female dog, okay? Now, the other thing that I want to say about Carlson is he's laughing at his own joke. So perhaps he's like a little bit of a jokester. Perhaps he has a little bit of humor. And then he says, she slang her pups last night. 9 of them. I drowned 4 of them right off. She couldn't feed that many. Got 5 left, huh? Yep, 5. I kept the biggest. What kind of dogs you think they're going to be? "I don't know," said Slim. "Some kind of shepherds, I guess. That's the most kind I seen around here when she was in heat." Carlson went on. "Got 5 pups, huh? Gonna keep all of 'em?" "I don't know. Have to keep 'em a while so they can drink Lulu's milk." Carlson said thoughtfully, "Well, look here, Slim. I've been thinking. That dog of Candy's is so goddamn old he can hardly walk. Oh, stinks like hell, too. Every time he comes into the bunkhouse, I can smell him for like 2 or 3 days. Why don't you get Candy to shoot his old dog and give one of the pups to raise up? I can smell that dog a mile away. Got no teeth, damn near blind, can't eat. Candy feeds him milk, 'cause can't chew nothing else." So now here we're getting like this idea. Let's see here. Carlson gets the idea, unfortunately, to shoot Candy's old dog and give him one of the pups in exchange. I don't know. Something like that. George had been staring intently at Slim. Suddenly, a triangle began to ring outside, slowly at first, and then faster and faster until the beat of it disappeared into one ringing sound. It stopped as suddenly as it had started. So basically, when they ring the triangle, it means that it's dinner time. "There she goes," said Carlson. Outside, there was a burst of voices as a group of men went by. Slim stood up slowly with dignity. "You guys better come on while there's still something to eat. Won't be nothing left in a couple minutes." Carlson stepped back to let Slim precede him, and then the 2 of them went out the door. So this is kind of interesting. I'm going to put in my little text box here because on my slide here, it says, "I can infer when it says that Carlson stepped back to let Slim precede him, and then the 2 of them went out the door. It is showing that even though Carlson is described as a powerful man, Slim is still, I don't know what you want to call it, like the leader of the bunkhouse. Remember, they described him as like regal, and so he always gets to go first. He's like royalty there. Lennie was watching George excitedly. George rumpled his cards into a messy pile. "Yeah, I heard him, Lennie." So I was also saying, what is Lennie hoping to get on page 26? Oh, I think I put 26. It's, yeah, 36, 36. Now, if you remember what they were talking about here, and if you remember at the beginning of the story, George said, maybe someday I'll get you a pup instead of a mouse or a rabbit that unfortunately Lennie ends up killing a lot because he's so big. George's idea is that a puppy or a dog is so big it can handle a little bit more, and then hopefully Lennie won't do anything accidentally devastating to it. So when Lennie says a brown and a white one, he's talking about those pups. Come on, let's get dinner. I know whether he got a brown or a white one. Lennie didn't move from his bunk. You ask him right away, George, so he don't kill no more of 'em. Sure, come on, now get up on your feet. Lennie rolled off his bunk and stood up, and the two of them started for the door. Just as they reached it, Curly bounced in. And that's where we're going to stop for today. So go ahead. Now that you've heard it and heard some annotations, you can do the multiple choice here. Do you think George should listen to Lennie? What does it mean when Carlson stepped back to let Slim precede him? And what is Lennie hoping to get on page 36?